Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on with Bitcoin. We have an hour and 23 minutes left until the daily candle close. We are getting above the halfway point of this order block. Honestly, guys, we're staying above the weekly open. I am looking for longs until further notice. Now, if we close below this weekly open right here, um, come 5 o'clock, that is when I will possibly think about, maybe waiting and seeing if we're going to be looking for shorts. I wouldn't do it right away. But as long as we use this as resistance, the 63,602, we are bullish. Okay. Now, like I said, if we flip this and we can't get back above it, by Wednesday afternoon, that's when I would become a full blown bear. But until then, if we're staying above our weekly open, we have to assume that we're going to theoretically stay above our weekly open, right? Like I said. Anything above the weekly open now that it's, almost Wednesday, I'll be looking for longs, okay? Now, where would we be targeting? So let's talk about the targets because I haven't really spoken to you guys about targets yet. So in theory, let's see what this wick would be from right here, and then we'll just kind of go up from there. So this wick to here. So we already hit that, didn't get a rejection, so it'd have to be from all the way up here potentially. So you're looking at about 65 even or 65 250-ish. So somewhere in this range right here, 65 250 to 65 could be a potential where we get rejected, and it is this, 50 MA on the daily is coming into play. So we could potentially get rejected somewhere in here. Okay. I'm going to leave that open. Now, because we are starting to get more into July, there's a possibility that our bottom is in and this is our bottom. Okay. So we could have a fairly expansive move for July and we could even get up into here, this order block up here. So I would be looking to see if we get rejected in this area. If not, we're visiting this order block and seeing, where we potentially might get rejected from within here. Now, going into the 12-hour, not too much different, so we'll skip to the 8. 8-hour, you got your 21 curving up, so that's a really good sign. And because we've been above our 4-hour for so long, you then have to assume that we're going to go to the 6-hour, see whether or not we're going to get accepted or rejected from that 200, right? And then if we get, above that 6-hour 200, then we go to the 8-hour. And then the 8-hour, we check this, 69, 317, whether or not. So the way that, the 200 MAs work and what I learned from the Crypto Lifer is that when you cross above one and you stay above it and you consolidate and make a nice flag, you bring the 21 into play, you then test the next, so many hours time frame. So, from 4, then to 6, then to 8, then to 10, then to 12. You check and see where that 200 MA is. So there's a good potential even that we could even get up into here, the middle, almost the middle of this order block right here, around 69K. So that is definitely in the cards. Taking a look at the 1-hour now. So the 4-hour is the main thing that I'm bullish on, okay, because we're not getting below it. This is very strong. We're getting, a nice resistance off of the 21 MA. We're staying above our weekly open. It's just everything you want to see in a bullish condition, okay? So I don't really care what pattern this, whatever this is. Unless we lose, like I said, this 200 MA, I'm going to remain bullish. I don't care what pattern this thing wants to do. I don't care if it's a diamond that breaks up. I don't care if it's some sort of megaphone type of action. It's just gonna be, this is bullish consolidation until it isn't. Okay, that's how I want you guys to think about this. So, going into the 15-minute, you can see we bounce nicely off of that 200. We're coming back up. We are kind of testing weekly open. We did get above it. It looks like we're kind of bouncing off of it. I'm not too concerned about that. Like I said, I told you what I'm looking for on the bigger time frame still. So this is looking great to me. 10-minute, kind of the same way. The only thing of concern that you guys got to think about is this double bottom. So there's a potential that, we come down here, maybe hit this 62,109 and get a bounce, wiping out that double bottom. So that's something to think about. We haven't really claimed this block yet. So Just something to think about before we get like a really expensive move. We could try to go after the longs one more time down here and then rip up. But let's take a look and see what liquidity has to show us. I mean, so we got 62,109. We have 65. It was 65,000 even and 65,200. Okay. So let's now take a look and see where that lands us with the liquidity here. So taking a look at our 4 hour. So our 4 hour time frame, you can see how much is really up here. And you can see even 65, 65 2. That's that last bit of this yellow area, right? Before we can start bridging up into here even. So this is my first target right here, for us to take out before we get even higher. We have to see how price reacts to this area. So I would be targeting this sooner rather than later, especially if we can stay above weekly open, okay? Our next time frame that we're going to look at is the 1 hour. So the 1 hour. All right. So again, look at this, guys. Almost 65,000. Look at where the red is, right? Almost right there, So it really tells you that this is our next potential up here. 65,000, testing 65,000. Unchecking some of these, right? Bridging up to 65,000, 65.2 even is kind of where this stops, right? So, it really paints a bigger picture that 65,000, 65.2 is our area that we have to test sooner rather than later. Taking a look at your 15. Okay, so your 15 minute. Same exact thing, 65,000 even, 65,100, right? So this really gives us a bridge to get up in here and even come up even more and wreck this whole area, wreck the shorts here. We are going to take a look at the simple map to see where that bar chart lines up, but for right now, guys, I mean, it does look, and this does tell me that, especially with that 4 hour consolidation, that we are going to take this out first prior to coming back down here. That's what I'm reading off of these charts right now from a meso and a micro time frame. The macro, like I've been telling you guys, I want to see us get up into here, taking these pools out, and for us to consolidate, and then we'll talk about the macro to see whether or not we are slightly bullish on that end. But for right now, the meso and the micro, to me, in my opinion, are very bullish. They're looking extremely strong. So this area would be our first target, and then going up into here. Now, taking a look at our orders here. So this is our order book here. You can see how that aligns with, the narrative that we've been painting, right? Or I've been painting. 65,000, you have a lot of orders up here, right? To drive up to. Then you have some at 65.5 even. So that really, lines up with that 65,000, 65.2 area. You even have some all the way up to 67.2. Okay, so we could get a really explosive move this week. It just all is going to depend on price action and whether or not it wants to move. So it's going to be very interesting to see the remainder of the week. I am very bullish in the smaller time frames and the medium time frames. I'm cautious still on the bigger time frames, more so of a neutral, not really bearish or bullish. But like I said, price action has to show that it wants to maintain these key areas in the higher 60s in order for me to flip bullish on those time frames. Let's take a look finally at our simple map. So let me go ahead and pull that up here. All right, so the simple map, let me zoom in and take a look. All right, so we don't really, I mean, look at this. We don't have hardly any 100x longs or any longs in general right below us, even to 63,000. So, I mean, yeah, there's always a potential you can go down here, but it's more apt to want to climb and start taking more of this out because there's not enough of a bridge, right? We talk about bridges to the upside or the downside. So on the 5, the 15, your hourly, it looks like it's fairly bullish still, that you're going to get up into, 65,000, test these first nodes right here and see what you can do. So bullish on, those smaller time frames. Now, looking at the swing time frames down here. So we ate up all of this liquidity at 64.5, which makes sense because we've been chopping around all day long, just tearing both sides apart. Right next to us at 64.8 to 65.1, you have a lot of liquidity, so it would make sense for price to want to go there first prior to moving downward, right? So again, guys, like, I mean, I'm seeing 65, 65 too. You know, this is painting the same exact picture on the bigger time frame. So that honestly is what I'm targeting. Now, the bearish case scenario is that this rolls over, we lose the 4-hour 200. So let's take a look and see what that would look like. You know, your bearish scenario would probably be first hitting the 62,109, testing that, which would also be losing this 4-hour 200, and then from there you start retesting some of these levels down here that we have marked off. So, is it possible? Yes, the probability right now is leaning to the upside. So just, you know, always be cautious, be aware. Make sure you're aware also of the time frames that you're playing. So whether you're playing Asia session, London session, New York session, that also matters a lot, because London session doesn't really have as much movement, for example, as New York session, right? So you really want to know what time that you're playing. Time is very, very important with these charts. So anyways, guys, that is what I have for this evening. Again, watch 65,000, 65.2. You know, on a bearish case scenario, you would watch that 62,109 for right now. But otherwise, that is pretty much all I have for you. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you all in the morning. Take care.